I'm very glad Marty reminded you all that I'm the Arizona Spitzer. And the last time a politician Spitzer visited the Mayflower Hotel, the results were improvement. It's been pointed out by both speakers we're in a challenging time, and the challenges are quite daunting. Historical trends in demand for energy were turned on their head by China and India and the rest of Asia. Commodity prices had an unprecedented spike. Demand for energy grew across the country, put upward pressure on retail rates paid by the customers of Commissioner Morgan and his colleagues throughout the country. Then you have the economic downturn, the freezing of the credit markets in an industry that is uniquely dependent upon capital investment, provoked a second wave of crisis. And then if you consider the environmental context in which we live, these challenges are daunting. But I think the folks in this room join with us on the panel. Where others see challenges, we see opportunities. And I'm an optimist. And particularly with regard to the convergence between the environment and energy, noted by the Congressman as well as Rick Morgan, therein lies our great opportunity. We have a change in administration. We have an intent of Congress as well as the administration to move forward with change, and the FERC is absolutely committed to that as well. Let's think about the history of this. Prior to PURPA in 1978, which was environmental legislation, also had energy impacts, but was predominantly environmental legislation, we had a monopoly by the incumbent utility. There was no competition for generation. There was no open access transmission. We were in the world of large central station technology, cost overruns, very expensive, bad results for the environment. PURPA, the gas legislation in the 1980s, federal legislation in 1992, FERC open access transmission tariff in 1996, the growth of organized markets starting with Order 2000 in 2000. We have a bipartisan policy, whether it's been a Republican or Democrat Congress, Republican or Democrat administration, regardless of who was in position at FERC, a policy of competitive wholesale markets with incredible opportunities and benefits for technology and for the environment. And we are absolutely committed to moving forward with that goal. Consider the area of natural gas, and I think there's a great analogy to natural gas policy for the electricity markets. With decontrol of natural gas, we went to competitive markets. There was regulation. The FERC continued to regulate natural gas, particularly the midstream, the pipelines. But the separation of functions between the pipeline industry and the producing industry resulted in new sources. And consider that during the run-up in gas prices in 2006, 2007, we had a technological revolution. Non-conventional gas, which horizontal drilling, the so-called fractioning, where water is run through these fissures in the earth to create new sources of natural gas throughout the country, such that we are now in a situation where there's a gas bubble. There's a glut, an oversupply of natural gas in the United States, and prices have come down. Markets worked, technology worked, and FERC preserved the regulatory scheme that makes natural gas markets in the United States the envy of the world. One of the issues with LNG, even though we're in an era of lower prices, is that tankers continue to come to the United States because we have liquid, transparent, and lawful natural gas markets. And even if the prices are low and the LNG tankers are price takers, the United States benefits because of very sound congressional federal policy in the area of natural gas. And natural gas is clearly going to be the bridge fuel. I'm a supporter of renewables. Arizona adopted an RPS back in 2001. But with nuclear power perhaps 10 years out, carbon capture sequestration, also technology that's in its infancy, natural gas is going to be the fuel that will bridge us to the next generation of electricity. And it is imperative that we employ all devices at our power to provoke new supply through wholesale liquid and transparent markets, and also maintain the regulation. With the tools that Congress gave FERC in 2005, we brought a number of actions to guarantee fairness in natural gas markets, and we intend to continue to exercise the authority granted to us by the Congress. Let me conclude by considering further the opportunities that are available to us. Consider the case of New England, where load curves have been dropping substantially, create a new problem with infrastructure in an area that is not going to site any new coal plants, so it's entirely dependent upon natural gas-fired generation. Natural gas prices were going up. New England's at the end of the pipe. In the organized markets, we have seen innovation. We have seen technology. We have seen entrepreneurship that is unprecedented, such that the demand response that Commissioner Morgan talked about, the collaborative between NARUC and FERC, bore fruit in that the entire 2% increase in demand in New England was met entirely through demand response. No new wires, no new generating plants, no carbon emissions into the atmosphere in New England. It was technology through the demand response aggregators that are active in the wholesale markets. And it is this convergence of appropriate, light-handed regulation, but regulation nonetheless, technology, and markets that will see us through. And if you consider among the various opportunities, I know that we got folks in the room who are very active in smart grid technology. Commissioner Wellinghoff earlier this year did some great evangelizing and persuaded me to move forward in his vision on plug-in electric hybrid vehicles. This is a means of electrifying the transportation sector of the U.S. economy. If we can convert 20% of the transportation sector from fossil fuels to electricity, even with the current mix of electricity, we go a long ways to meeting our greenhouse gas emissions. We go a long ways towards saving the automotive industry in the United States. And we also invigorate through new technology the electric sector of this country, which is under great stress, particularly because of the current situation in the credit markets. So I am optimistic with the people out in this country who in their garages are coming up with ideas like Beacon Power's Flywheel to provide ancillary services to the wholesale market in a way that is incredibly efficient and very environmentally friendly. That is the future. Now, I discussed the natural gas model. That is one where there was sensitivity to price and allowed the market to send signals to the wholesale market and to the retail markets, so these entrepreneurial endeavors would bear fruit. I'm hopeful that we'll stay the course that we started back in 1978 with PURPA and move towards a disaggregation of this sector of the economy to let folks, entrepreneurs such as those in the room, fully participate. So I am very excited. We do face challenges. We must acknowledge that fact. But the opportunities are present. If we, and I always talk in every speech I give, and I'll go back to the three-legged stool, in terms of federal energy policy and regulatory policy. Infrastructure, in other words, we still need infrastructure in this country. Rick talked about transmission lines. Renewable resources are not generally located next to load. So as Senator Reid, in the thrust of his bill, is a way to provide a green pathway for renewable resources to get to load. Infrastructure is imperative. Markets. I've been a broken record on markets. And then finally, rule of law. I was an Arizona commissioner in 2000, 2001 during the California energy crisis. The people of the West in particular, and I think throughout the country, had lost faith and confidence in the energy markets and the energy sector of this country. With the power granted by Congress, FERC has worked very hard to restore the faith and confidence of the people of this country in the energy markets. We've brought actions where appropriate to remedy misconduct, but we've also worked very hard to send the price signals to let the market participants know that if they participate in the energy markets of this country, they will get a fair deal. I look forward to working with my state colleagues. I look forward to working with the Congress, and I look forward to working with the administration to preserve the three-legged stool so we can meet our energy demands, meet our environmental demands, all for the benefit of the ratepayers of this country. Thank you, Marc.